What is up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new video. And today we're going to be talking about updates in Kursk and many more news from Russia, from a Russian citizen. So if you are interested in this type of topics, I'd really appreciate if you could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Let's get into the topic. So you know that Kursk is one of those regions in Russia which has been a very interesting topic to talk about because the Ukrainian armed forces have infiltrated the Kursk region and have been advancing quite fast until a few days back. Then the advancements has become slower, but that is just for now because the Ukrainian armed forces have destroyed two of the three bridges connecting the south of Glushkovsky area to Kursk and also began to occupy this district from the west. Let me read this out to you a little bit because I actually have images and videos from this place. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not a military professional. The only thing that I know about military is when I played Call of Duty in Battlefield, so I'm not in a way a military expert and my information could be wrong. But if you want to get the right information, you should not only trust one source, but check out at least three sources, different sources, to get an idea of what's really going on. I'm trying to do this myself, but don't forget to do it yourself as well, because the easiest way to get brainwashed nowadays is to only trust one source. By Sunday morning, Ukrainian forces had effectively destroyed the second of the three bridges across the same river that connected the southern part of the Glushkovsky district with the rest of the Kursk region. At the same time, the Ukrainian armed forces began advancing to occupy the south of Glushkovsky district, which will now be difficult for Russian forces to fully supply with ammunition and food. Now, a bit of details from a bunch of different Telegram channels. Ukrainian Telegram channels began distributing photos of the damaged bridge on Saturday evening. On Sunday morning, they published a video of the attack on the bridge. Judging by the photos, cars are still driving along the surviving part of the bridge. However, a hole several meters wide has formed in the center of the structure. Military analyst Yan Matveyev believes that the bridge has already been de facto destroyed since heavy equipment will hardly be able to pass through it. Russian military blogger Yuri Podolyaka also wrote that the bridge cannot be used. According to him, supplies to the Russian army have been transferred to pontoon crossings. So basically what Ukraine is doing right now, they're destroying the bridges so that they can expand the territory that they're capturing in Russia. By destroying bridges, you're not able to bring in ammunition or food, which slows down any sort of defensive mechanism because people cannot just be spraying bullets all around the place and sending rockets around the place because they just don't have them because the bridges are gone. As a result, two of the three bridges connecting the southern part of the Glushkovsky district with the rest of the same river have already been destroyed. In addition to them, a little to the east of the village of Glushkovo, the Russian army managed to build a pontoon crossing by Friday, wrote OSINT analyst with the nickname McClassen in X and deputy director of the Russian program at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, John Hardy. Its current state is unknown. At the same time, the Ukrainian army began moving across the border from the western side of the cut-off section of the Glushkovsky district. According to the Ukrainian OSINT project Deep State, 16 square kilometers are already in the gray zone here, including the village of Otruba. However, the Rebar Telegram channel close to the Russian Defense Ministry wrote in its report on Saturday that there is no confirmation yet that the Ukrainian armed forces have occupied Otruba. In addition, according to the blog, shelling of Tetkino, located 3 kilometers from Otruba, also the near border continues. In the main part of the combat zone in the Kursk region, there have been no significant changes in the past 24 hours. Battles are ongoing and airstrikes are being carried out along the entire front line. according to the data from the Ministry of Defense, Deep State, and NASA fire data. And a bit of context here. The Ukrainian army is trying to expand the combat zone to the 4th district of the Kursk region. By destroying those bridges in this area, the Ukrainian armed forces are cutting off this district from the rest of the Russian territory. The Ukrainian armed forces are de facto repeating the maneuver in which they managed to take back Kherson in 2022. If this maneuver is successful, the combat region in the Kursk region will expand by 1.5 times, and that is a huge, huge region to be expanded in such a short time. Obviously, we don't have any information about what is actually going on right now and when this is going to happen. But if this happens, this is going to be a real big changer in this whole situation. We will have to follow the news, follow the information on what's going on to actually see what is going to happen. So don't forget to be subscribed to the channel to keep all the information up to date from me, from a Russian citizen who is telling you what is actually happening in Russia at the moment. On another topic, Ukraine keeps more than 120,000 soldiers near the border with Belarus. Belarus has transferred more than a third of their army to the border of Ukraine. The defense of western border has been worked out by Minsk and Moscow. If necessary, the plan can be changed to an offensive one, said Lukashenko. So basically, they have dropped in a third of the Belarusian army to the border of the Ukraine. The reasoning is probably not to defend Belarus, because I doubt Ukraine would attack Belarus. What is the point of that? But I'm pretty sure it is done so that if it's necessary, they could use the Belarusian army to counterattack the Ukrainian armed forces who have already captured a big part of the Kursk region. We will also have to be looking into this more deeply, so as the days go by, we will get a better idea on what is really going on. Now, what is really interesting is that there's a lot of YouTubers from Russia that came from different countries like the US, UK, saying how cheap and amazing it is to live in Russia right now. Well, you know what? Yes, life in Russia was actually quite good. But the thing is, nobody talks about the price increases and the salaries of the ordinary Russian people. And I would like to remind you that a salary of a person in Moscow could vary from $300 a month to $1,000. But usually it's around $300 to $500 a month, which is very low considering the prices in Russia in general anywhere. With that salary, you are not going to be able to put away any money, and you'll be eating very low quality food. So YouTubers from the West who propagandize how amazing it is in Russia, it is amazing when you are getting your money from your American job, or if you have an American pension. Obviously, with $2,000 or $3,000 a month, you're going to be living a good life in Russia. But you completely forgot about one part. You are not working in Russia, so you don't get an idea of how bad some people live. Obviously, there's a lot of people that make good money, but it is not the majority of the population. How much has life in Russia become more expensive in a year? A new wave of price increases in Russia. Food producers in Russia already has warned stores about raising the purchase price in September. The following goods will become more expensive. Let's check it out. So you can see I got this little graph right here with how life in Russia has become more expensive. This is for the period of July 2023 to July 2024. Medical services and pills, general blood tests have risen in 485%. Could you imagine the percentage rise in this? Now, this is all the medical stuff. It's risen a lot, so it's very, very expensive to get any sorts of medicine in Russia for anybody. Products have also increased in price. Bananas by 38.8%, eggs by 36.2%. And you guys remember the egg scandals in Russia, when the prices of eggs were extremely expensive and people could not afford to buy 10 eggs. And a lot of jokes were going around Russia saying that you need to take a loan out of the bank to actually be able to buy yourself a pack of eggs. So tomatoes have risen in price a lot, 35%. So we could see most of the products have risen more than 20% and more than 30% in some cases. The least change that we see is in bread, which is 14%, which is still a lot in a year. So what do we got in the housing department? So to rent a studio apartment, it's risen by 29%, a 2-bedroom apartment by 27.9%, and that is in 1 year. Cars, which is a very interesting topic, and you guys know how much I love cars as well. New Russian car, 23.9% in price. So the cars that are produced in Russia, which are basically Chinese cars with a slapped on badge of a Lada or Moskvich, whatever, 23.9%. And foreign cars have risen in price by 22.9%. But even before July 2023, those cars cost an astronomical number in the first place. So with this rise in 1 year, you could have imagined how expensive the cars are. Really expensive. In Russia, owning a car is a real luxury. You're not going to be able to buy a decent car, a car that gets around for like $500. And I know in the US, you could get some hoopty that is going to get you around and will have AC. The same in Ireland, the same in a lot of countries, actually. Even in Thailand, for $500, you could get yourself a car, which is not going to be a Russian-made car, to just be able to drive around the place. And it's not a new car, but we're not talking about new cars right now. $500 is a month's salary, just to keep that in your mind. Services, mobile communication by 19.4%. Taxi fare, 26.9%. Digging a grave, yes, that is also a service, has risen by 15.5%. So it's even more expensive to pay a person with a shovel to dig out a grave. It seems like it has become a really profitable business in Russia right now, so that is why the price has risen. Traveling also has become more expensive. By train, 15%. Flight in the economy class cabin by 19.4%, so it's more expensive. And it's going to be even more expensive this year because of Russian airlines that are not being able to service their aircrafts properly or becoming more expensive to fly out. So traveling out of Russia is going to become way more expensive no matter where you go. And it's going to get to that point where it's going to be a real big luxury to be able to fly out of Russia. So we could see 4 or 5-star hotel prices went up by 21%, 3-star hotels 14%, 1-star hotels or a motel 14.3%. And then we got a very interesting quote from February 14, 2024, after we have read all of those expensive becoming way more expensive. Our main task or absolute priority is to increase the incomes and quality of life of citizens, the well-being of Russian families. I really doubt that the raise in prices of everything will make life better for Russians and Russian families in general, because their income, I have not seen it going up even by a tiny bit. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the updates from Russia, from a Russian citizen. Would really appreciate if you could hit the like button, the subscribe button. If you guys want to support me, you could do it through Patreon in the links in the description. Thank you very much. I hope every single one of you will have an amazing day. Stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.